Kabarub, 19th of October 2023, China's hegemonic incursion into Bhutan is terrible for the stability of the area. As part of its all-out assault against the Indian subcontinent, which India ought to have protected by stationing Indian troops to assist Bhutan's border defense, China is attacking Bhutan. In an interview earlier this month, Bhutan's Prime Minister, Lotay Tshering, asserted that China and Bhutan were on the verge of finalizing a boundary settlement agreement to draw permanent borders. The Chinese side has a history of inciting border conflicts with its surrounding countries. Notably, it has been stalling the border negotiations with Bhutan through the roadmap for Expediating the Bhutan, China boundary negotiations, three-step roadmap. There are presently an astounding 17 territorial disputes between China and the countries that share its borders. At least 7 of these issues appear to be land cover related. Even looking at these figures suggests Beijing and its political elite want to incite confrontation to acquire substantial leverage in negotiations. Bhutan is one of the few border countries without diplomatic ties to China despite sharing an extensive 470 km border. Before forming a new roadmap agreement in October 2021, both nations had signed 2 treaties in 1988 and 1998 to settle their border conflicts. Since 1984, the two nations have been discussing border resolutions, with at least 10 expert group meetings and around 24 rounds of talks conducted. With China's misadventure, the Doklam incident caused a 5-year pause in border negotiations, during which both the Indian and Bhutanese sides developed deep mistrust. Following this, both countries signed a 3-step roadmap. 2 distinct land masses have been the primary source of contention in Bhutan's boundary dispute with China. The Doklam territory, spanning up to 270 square kilometers, has historically been included in the conflict. This is the same region India and China engaged in a 70-day standoff in 2017. Paradoxically, the Tri-junction area is not included in the 3-step plan between China and Bhutan. But as part of a 2012 accord, China and India agreed that any disagreement arising from a triangular agreement would only be settled with the participation of all 3 nations. In the interview, the Prime Minister of Bhutan said that one of the issues being addressed for settlement as part of the continuing negotiations was the Doklam area. If this settlement is accurate, it could hurt South Asian dynamics due to Chinese warmongering. Given Beijing's ability to maneuver and seize strategically important territory in the crucial Tri-junction area, many believe Beijing will stop at nothing to instigate additional territorial wars with its neighbors to achieve these benefits. As understood, giving up Chinese claims to the northern Bhutanese provinces of Pasamlung and Jakarlung, which are getting closer to Tibet, could be the trade-off. According to rumors, in 1997, China offered Bhutan a package deal in which it agreed to exchange its western region, which included Doklam, for the disputed northern and center areas of the country, which comprised the Pasamlung and Jakarlung valleys. Since the Bhutanese were unwilling to give up their territory, which protected their strategic interests, this idea was subsequently rejected. Conversely, the Chinese aimed for the western regions, which would offer them a strategic advantage due to the Chumbi Valley's narrowness and provide them with a vantage position over the Siliguri corridor through Doklam. In any case, China has built infrastructure on Bhutanese territory despite Bhutan's reservations over incursion, which has untimely resulted in the Doklam standoff raising fundamental questions about China's salami-slicing policies. To further complicate matters, the Chinese side extended its territorial claim in 2020 by claiming the Soktang Wildlife Sanctuary, 740 square kilometers, in the Trashigong region of eastern Bhutan. The world generally understands that the purpose of making such a claim to eastern Bhutanese territory was to exert pressure on Bhutan to give up some of its most essential regions on its eastern and western borders. The Chinese regard discussions as applying external pressure by establishing territory claims and negotiating from an advantageous position. This is part of the strategy behind their territorial claim on the Sokdang sanctuary, which is connected to and shares a border with Arunachal Pradesh in India. In addition to its territorial claims, China has constructed some 200 buildings in the area, and more are being built. These purported communities have given the Chinese side a resolute edge while posing a significant threat to the area. In addition to offering improved troop reinforcement monitoring facilities and other strategic advantages, these villages provide the Chinese side with a more significant stake in the negotiations, giving it an edge over its rivals regarding intelligence and bargaining power. Therefore, neighboring and regional nations must understand that China's negotiation strategies will ultimately lead to much more severe issues in the region. China is trying to influence and coerce its neighbors into agreeing to its convenient terms by inventing proxy conflicts and substituting claims based on strategic calculations. Bhutan might be just one of many nations whose borders would be violated in exchange for comparatively small concessions made by Beijing during crucial negotiations.